The iconic Geo World Convention Center in Mumbai played host to the 14th AIBI annual convention, bringing together over 1,500 leaders from India's capital markets ecosystem. Anchored around the theme IPOs India, Gateway to Global Capital, Sustainable Growth, Viksit Bharat, the convention offered a deep dive into the evolving landscape of India's primary markets. Through compelling keynotes, insightful fireside conversations, and high-impact panel discussions, it traced the complete journey of capital formation and market growth. Today, we bring you a special panel discussion focused on mutual funds as an engine for broader participation in IPOs, exploring how institutional participation is shaping market depth, access, and long-term investor confidence.
Manoj sir, I'll start with you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about IPOs. There is a lot of money coming in. Very many IPOs now are being oversubscribed. तो इसमें जहाँ लोगों के पास funds हैं देने के लिए, there is liquidity. What more can be done so that maybe new IPOs come in or new papers are come out that to match the liquidity, the interest that is there from the market?
I think this is the most relevant question, but not to the relevant person. Reason is that the industry which I represent, and for that matter the panelists here represent, except for Mahavir, it is generating enough funds. If you see today, the mutual fund flow is tremendous. So the biggest worry, if you ask me from a mutual fund perspective, is that how to deploy this money in the market. And from that perspective, internally when we discuss or whenever Mahavir is kind enough to meet me, I always mention to him that as a merchant banker and as an industry as a whole, you have to find a way out where more quality papers are coming. Because unless quality paper comes to the market, mutual fund day by day find it very difficult to make investment which is more viable. And I have given one or two suggestions, but I think Jeevan Saab is more apt to deal with all these issues. But I firmly believe the way the seamlessly mutual fund is generating money from far off places in this country, we have not reached a very large scale. We are still 5 odd crores, and our ambition is that going forward we should reach somewhere around 50 odd crores. That is what the previous MP chair and the present MP chair, they all have the target that somehow they have to reach to that level. So just imagine when we go to that level, what type of fund flow will come, and whether the capital market industry, particularly from the IPO side, whether it is ready to absorb that type of money. So to get quality paper in the market is most essential, and in that, since I am sitting in this merchant bankers forum, I must say the role of merchant banking industry is very important. They are one of the oldest industry, just like a stockbroker. Mutual fund is very new compared to merchant bankers. And they have to devise ways and means where they should give qualitative paper to the market, give the sense to the market that whenever they are involved, the capital raising is absolutely clean with ample amount of disclosure. So I think this is something where they should work. And on behalf of SEBI, I can mention that we are working to compress the timelines. Because if timelines for raising the capital are more, then cost of capital also goes up, and this discourages people to raise capital.
100%. And I'll take those 2 points, first to Mr. Munot and then to Mr. Sikka. Mr. Munot, you know what Sir said at the start, where he said that there is capital, but mutual funds maybe find it difficult where to deploy it. So now, if you look at it that way, most of the deployment is going maybe to the top 200 stocks by mutual fund companies, mutual fund houses. What can be done to broad base this more? What would be your opinion here?
सुमित, आपने हमारा टाइटल बोला सेशन का, म्यूचुअल फंड्स एज एन इंजन फॉर ब्रॉडर पार्टिसिपेशन इन आईपीओज. एक समय होता था जब हम लोग इंजन नहीं थे, हम लोग कंपार्टमेंट थे. अभी थैंक्स टू I mean the guidance, vision, and active support of SEBI, that, and of course all the partners, people like you, what role media has played, that mutual funds have become an engine for the overall capital formation in India. So we have come a long way across generations, and again, as I said, thanks to the wonderful work done by our regulators and everybody else. You mentioned that the participation is still limited in few stocks. That's not true. I mean, there are a couple of hundreds of stocks, not only in our active research, but are in active portfolios you can see across the industry. I can talk about our fund house. We are the largest mid-cap fund in India. It's almost touching like 1 lakh crore. It's over 90,000 crores. We are one of the largest small-cap fund in India. And in both the funds, one of the interesting data point I give you is that the median market cap is lower than the benchmark or lower than the peers. It's not that there's shortage of liquidity, we don't have the stocks, and that's why we are putting large caps or larger stocks in the portfolio. It's by choice and by design that we have more widespread portfolio. Mutual funds have participated in a couple of IPOs of different size, but I completely agree with what Mr. Manoj Kumar said, that it has to have a quality, right? We are a steward of, as you said, that wider participation on behalf of the close to 6 crore investors that we have. We are a steward of their capital. We are a trustee of their capital. And that's why we have to ensure that the IPO we are participating in, or the stock that we are buying, or a company where we are investing, has to kind of fulfill certain criteria. We have to look at the business, we have to look at management, we have to look at governance, we have to look at sustainability, durability, and the long-term orientation we have to have. And that's why there could be IPOs where industry has not participated, and there could have been IPOs where all of us would have competed very hard against each other to participate. But that's what is expected out of us by everybody in the ecosystem.
Exactly. And Mr. Sikka, I'll take the same thing to you. And just if you could elaborate more also on the point, then would it be right to say that AMCs are also partners in the capital formation for the longer term? You know, because that is where you're building in and you're providing that level of trust. Because whenever dealing with money, emotion, you need that trust. So just your thoughts.
At this point of time, nearly about 5.6 crore investors, unique investors, are investing in the Indian capital markets through mutual fund. So I think what we have to understand is, what is mutual fund doing? I think mutual funds are giving a platform to investors in small cities and towns to access Indian capital markets and be a part of India growth story. This India growth story was available to the foreigners or to the institutional investors. So what basically mutual fund industry has done, if you call it the Viksit Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, this is what we are doing. We are trying to create wealth at the lowest level. That is point number one. Number two, I think I agree with you, it's a question of trust. I think we are custodian of their money. I mean, the amount of trust that they have, and as I think I remember in our AGM, AMFI AGM, the chairman SEBI had mentioned, I think we should not look at ourselves as assets under management, but trust under management. It's all about trust. I mean, it's not easy for someone to give money to a third person and not even knowing where we are investing. So it is all about trust. See, today we represent the investor. Our duty, our responsibility is towards the investor. We will always be, number one, the flows will keep increasing. Today we are getting 30,000 crores of SIP every month. And the way we are growing, I don't want to make a projection. Who had thought? So let me give you an example. I completed my first term as an AMFI chairman in 2015. The SIP book was 2,000 crores. And I started my second term as an AMFI chairman 25. The SIP book is 30,000 crores. Ab us time kisne socha tha ye? To projection kya deni? Direction is important.
True.
But the point what I want to make is, it's very important, all the 50 AMCs, we should not forget whom are we answerable to. We are answerable to the unit holders, the small investors, and our need is looking for new IPOs. But if between the two, the choice, we will give a pass to any IPO which we feel does not cross that minimum test. So we are looking for more IPOs, and we're looking for investment bankers to come, because we are also having an issue. Too much money coming to us, and we want more quality IPOs. To your last question, on also the allocation going to large caps, or the bigger,
Bigger.
We are not the ones who decide that. SEBI has defined every scheme so that every investor knows where he's investing. If the investor is investing in large cap, it has to go to large cap. If he's investing in small cap, he's go to small cap. So we are custodians, and we will only do what the investor tells us to do.
Mr. Lunawat, I just wanted to check with you on one thing. In your experience, has the presence of strong institutional demand, has that somewhere reduced the risk of aggressive mispricing in IPOs? Because that is also very important.
so on one side, we have capital, which is chasing same stocks or similar universe, I would say same universe of 300 stocks or 350 stocks. Because we can't deny the fact that 85 to 90% is capital is going to those stocks. And naturally, because there are no papers available. Now, Sandeep sir has migrated from 2,000 to 20,000 crore per month. But in my first tenure as AIBI chairman, I am still at sub 2 lakh crore of capital formation. So, मेरे को 2 लाख से 10 लाख crore पहुंचना है. Because if I don't do that, next year probably we will be discussing and focus will shift from Jeevan sir to Manoj sir and we'll be talking of huge disequilibrium. Valuation will get ballooned up in those 300 stocks. Yeah. And we will still left with a lot of companies not getting capital. To give you the data, 2/3 of IPOs which have come in 2025 are IPOs of less than 1,000 crores. Now, those are not necessarily bad companies. But the fact is that we are having 35,000 crores of company getting classified as small cap. And we are having 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 crore company also getting a small cap. So investor has given funds in small cap. But what is small cap? 30,000 crore, 3,000 crore, huge diversity. So I think Manoj sir probably ball will roll on to you in terms of can we have a recalibration approach of looking at some of these numbers and review. At the end of it, probably we might have the same classification architecture, but I think what we can do as a collective body, because one thing all of us agree that we need to have capital formation, both from economy point of view as also from the demand point of view. So how do we have that capital formation? Within that gamut, I mean, there is no disagreement that one has to have quality at the foremost. One has to have, let's say, investor interest and investor protection at the foremost. Like sell side, I mean, like buy side, sell side also are equally responsible for introducing quality papers. And I think the way we are being done, again, the one more data point I'll give you, that out of every 4 approved IPOs, I would say, and the data suggests that approval stage, we have only 1 out of 2 IPOs. So if 100 IPOs have been approved, 100 IPOs have not been accepted by merchant banking fraternity. Of the 100 IPOs approved, 1 out of every 4 IPOs is not getting launched. So on one side, we are having a lot of capital available. We are having similar, same universe, which is getting money, and naturally that will get money because that's the available universe. So there is increasing onus on the sell side to introduce more and more quality papers. At the same time, we also look up to a larger universe, maybe a subcategory in small cap, maybe a different category altogether, or maybe altogether different categorization, or maybe something else, which of course we need to evolve because regulator is very open. Manoj sir has always been very, very, a thought leader, I would say, besides being a regulator. So I think we are having a very dream team available with us. All we need to do is to go back to the drawing board and probably apply our mind in terms of how do we have a broader capital formation, which is, I think, need of the hour from nation building point of view.
Coming back to the earlier point that Mr. Lunawat made about categorization, so the 30,000 crore capital as well as the 3,000 crore, is there a need to go from large, mid, small to maybe a micro, small cap space?
So we are very good at playing with balls, and sometimes when you sit in the industry forum, the trajectory of the ball will be different. So I was prepared for this, and let me share with you that we are already working on categorization. And in fact, last week itself, we were about to go ahead, but suddenly industry came and suggested something different. So we are just trying to imbibe that difference, and soon you will hear from us that what we have done on categorization. I am not at all assuring that what we do will always be accepted by the industry, because many times what we do is generally not accepted by the industry, but in a long run, industry always agrees what we say. And since we have recently done one big reform, so we don't want to overload too much on the industry right now, because regulations are yet to be notified. So one set of reforms have already happened. This is very actively we are working on that. Challenge is that how to categorize something in terms of small cap, large cap, mid cap. There are various suggestions. Holistically, we have to view everything and decide that what type of categorization will be feasible for the long run.
So are you able to give us an estimation of a timeline? कब तक आप बता पाएंगे हमें?
हाँ, so मैंने एक चीज़ तो आपको बता दी कि रेगुलेशन नोटिफाई हो जाएंगे, एक दो दिन में आप देखेंगे कि नया म्यूचुअल फंड रेगुलेशन आ गया. कैटेगराइजेशन हम तैयार थे, इंडस्ट्री का कुछ चैलेंजेस थे एंड दोज वर जेन्युइन इश्यूज, सो वी आर एड्रेसिंग दैट. तो हमारी टीम बात कर रही है. अगर इंडस्ट्री बात करने नहीं आती तो हो सकता है हम लोग आज अनाउंस ही कर देते.
बट इसका ये मतलब है कि इंडस्ट्री और रेगुलेटर मिलके काम करते हैं. So you have to take this as a positive, it's a consultative approach.
हाँ, so this I must emphasize that whatever little bit we are able to achieve as a regulator in our 38-year-old journey, there is a huge collaborative efforts made by everybody in the industry.
Mr. Sikka, Mr. Munot, I will come back to what I asked sir also. The point on this, microcap, what is your view? I'm giving you a very broad question, so you can answer as you please. But is that something that you feel will help broaden the market, help make more products that can go to market?
I think I'll again repeat what I mentioned earlier. We are a reflection of what the investor wants. I think if the investor appetite will be there for microcap, there is no reason why the mutual fund industry will itself not go back to the regulator and ask for it. Why I'm trying to say this is many times what happens, I think in financial market, it's also very important to understand. It's not about what we want. We are doing it on behalf of somebody. But coming to your question and the point mentioned earlier, yes, right now the categorization in small cap, because that is where the whole debate is all about. Because, I mean, if you look at it's from 250th company, I think that is a little, and 90% of the IPOs that will come, they will come basically in this category. So there is going to be a limitation to how much allocation will go to new companies. So if there is a micro cap category separate, definitely more allocation can go there.
Okay, fantastic. Sir, your thoughts?
I wrote in my annual letter that it's good to see that India has become an Atmanirbhar Bharat as far as capital markets are concerned. In last 5 years, I think since 2021, domestic institutions have invested $250 billion at a time when foreign institutions have been a seller. But it's very interesting that foreign institutional investors have been a good net buyer when it comes to the primary market. Over the last couple of years, as I said, that I think industry has participated very well. And actually, India's primary markets have been one of the most robust and vibrant in last couple of years compared to many other markets where the indices have gone up, but primary market has not done as well as it has done in India. You speak to your counterparts in several other parts where they would say the markets have done well, but they are not seeing as much activity in the primary market as we are seeing in India, which is like very, very positive. But as we mentioned earlier, I mean, we are a steward of somebody else's capital. So if I have raised capital in a large cap fund, I'm supposed to deploy that in a large cap. And that point of like, कि स्मॉल कैप का डेफिनेशन 30,000 करोड़ है तो उसमें फिर वो स्मॉल कंपनी कहाँ जाएगी. बट द सेम क्वेश्चन इज फॉर लार्ज कैप, राइट? एक कंपनी 20 लाख करोड़ की भी है और एक कंपनी 2 लाख करोड़ की भी. दैट डजंट मीन दैट ऑल द मनी इज ओनली गोइंग इनटू द कंपनीज विद द हाईएस्ट मार्केट कैप. All of us here in the actively managed funds are here to deliver alpha, right? So our endeavor is to look for the best possible opportunity so that we can deliver returns which are better than the benchmark, unless it's a passively managed fund where you are mimicking the index, you are replicating the index. And our idea is whether we get that in primary or whether we get that in the secondary. Within our risk return framework, idea would be that we get the best possible opportunity, and that's the reason many of the IPOs have been wholeheartedly supported. And several of the IPOs where I mentioned earlier that we would have competed very hard, competing with each other very, very hard to get as much allocation as possible. And I think that's the India story over the next several years. Whenever people ask me that 30,000 crore per month, this is like almost $40 billion a year. And as Sandeep mentioned earlier, I think over a period of time, we'll be surprised positively. How will you deploy this money? At every point in time, I say that there is so much of need for new capital in India that we will never have this challenge that where do we go and deploy this capital. There will always be large number of entrepreneurs, whether it's the government of India which will dilute, whether it's the multinational companies, whether it's the families who will have other needs for the capital and will dilute, and large amount of private equity and venture capital which has funded businesses at various stage. And you have seen in last couple of quarters or years where several of the businesses which got funded by the private equity and venture capital are now coming and getting listed. So I think there is huge amount of supply over the next several years. I used to say that in my career as a fund manager and CIO over the last couple of decades, I used to say that our primary market moves from extremely hot to extremely cold, nothing in between. एक साल बहुत hot है और एक साल बहुत cold है. But looking at the new dynamics of the flows in India now, that you look at like $40 billion of SIP, you add NPS, you add insurance, you add the EPFO money, you add all the new investors on the individual investor side. Looking at this dynamics over the next several years, I think our primary market will move from extremely hot to hot, but not extremely cold.
Meaning somewhere moving from Delhi weather to Mumbai weather. वो समझ लेते हैं, moderate weather. One last question, Mr. Lunawat, to you because we are running short on time. But just, you have the regulator here. You have current AMFI chairman, past AMFI chairman, of course, in their individual capacity, both heading two of the largest AMCs in the country. Your wish list for regulator as well as industry.
So मनोज सर ने कहा कि यहाँ पे मनोज का नहीं जीवन का काम है इस फोरम में ज़्यादा. मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि जीवन और मनोज पूरक है. जब तक जीवन नहीं होंगे तो आईपीओ नहीं आएंगे, और आईपीओ नहीं आएंगे, आप नहीं होंगे तो आईपीओ सब्सक्राइब नहीं होंगे. तो आई थिंक इट्स हाई टाइम दैट जीवन और मनोज जी को साथ में लाके और एक ऐसा कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट करना है. बिकॉज आर विश लिस्ट, सिंस यू स्पोक ऑफ विश लिस्ट, आर विश लिस्ट इज दैट we must have self-dependent architecture, as Navneet sir and Sandeep sir touched upon, where each and every paper which is worthy of getting capital must get capital. When we go to sometimes fund managers, they just refuse to look at some of the papers because it is less than 5,000 crore, less than 10,000 crore. It is there. So it is there. And it's fine because eventually one will have their parameters, and even our fund doesn't look at maybe it's just a beginning, but they don't just look at less than 10,000 crores because that's the construct. I mean, a fund manager taking risk. Now 1 lakh crore and 10 lakh crore in large cap is significantly different from 30,000 crore and 3,000 in small cap. I'm just giving a practical difficulty. You should understand the pain coming out of sell side. So that's the ground reality. But I think on more constructive note, the way that our funds have now taken the baton of fostering that capital formation. Regulators are so open. We are having a maturing market where the average deal sizes are going up. The numbers are going up. We are having new age businesses coming to the market. We are having conventional businesses coming to the market increasingly. Just imagine situations 10 years back when we used to go to the market. We were required to start with the question, what is listing all about? Where this list will appear? My business will be taken over. Somebody will just walk in, purchase my shares on the market, and I will lose my business. From that market, I think we have traveled a long way where at least that digitization, the SEBI's campaigns and the industry efforts, now people are aware, they are ready and willing to get connected to the mainstream. Now the question is, and I think we have done a wonderful job from in the last year, despite all the geopolitical adversities and all, I think we have 2 lakh crore. One way of cribbing, the way I'm cribbing is that I'm falling short of the desired number. But the good part is that still we could reach 2 lakh crore. At one point in time, when we gave outlook from AIBI last year that we will have 2 lakh crore of capital formation, in the mid-year probably we were much lesser than that. But finally we achieved that number is only because of the fund's participation and domestic money available. Now the question is, the wish list is that we must have the architecture where quality, trust, of course, is at the foremost, but there is an enabling framework where capital flows to the desired stages of business across the categories.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up for our stellar panel here. Thank you so much, sir.